Around 70 million Americans have some sort of criminal record. 70 million. That's almost 1 in 5 of us. Almost 1 in 3 Americans of working age. Now, a lot of time, that record disqualifies you from being a full participant in our society, even if you've already paid your debt to society.
There are currently 7 million people on probation or parole in this country. Most states, California included, permanently disenfranchise those with criminal convictions. This problem of employment after jail, prison, parole, or probation is a very real thing to contend with for scores of Americans. Americans with criminal backgrounds will be in search of employment once their sentences are served. The stigma attached to criminal history in the eyes of prospective employers has made this search a long and demoralizing one for those who are ready to move on from their convictions. They are rendered unmarketable to employers, not only to the detriment of the individual, but also to the detriment of the state. This is what the state of California hopes to curtail with AB 1008. In a state that, in some ways, is still recovering from the economic downturn of the 2008 housing market crisis, the ordinance speaks volumes on the experience of California felons seeking employment. Hoping to foster recuperation in California's job market, legislators have looked critically at what factors could be stunting said growth, and the fact that the United States carries the distinction of having one of the most incarcerated populations in the developed world certainly merited a closer look. The experience of California felons seeking employment has prompted California legislatures to attempt to aid this disenfranchised group by fundamentally changing that state's job market. California is one state in which constituents look to their elected officials to take action to facilitate recovery. Increasingly, activists have been calling for reform in the hiring process in hopes that it will allay the stigma of a criminal history. For felons, changes in fair hiring practices can mean the difference between gainful employment and devastating financial struggle. Since homelessness and need are problems that affect all Californians, eliminating factors that impede employment for those with a criminal history is a hopeful step toward growth. The legislative intent behind AB 1008 is to place limits on employers who would ordinarily turn down most felons upon seeing how they responded to the question on the application. Because technology is changing, this should prove to be extremely effective. Most job applications today are done completely online with a computer algorithm alerting the employer to any red flags. The law encourages employers to consider the specific charges against the applicant and whether he or she has any reason to believe that these charges signal an inability to perform the job's tasks. This type of policy is new in its potential impact, but not in its goals. In 2013, Assembly Bill 218 attempted to introduce fair hiring laws. In 2015, President Barack Obama directed all federal agencies to ban the box and refrain from asking applicants about their convictions on initial job applications. AB 1008 in particular was heard in committee for the first time on March 19, 2017. It was read and amended several times in the Senate and committee throughout the spring and summer of that year, until it was finally passed as amended on September 1, 2017. The Senate voted on the bill a final time on September 15, 2017, with a final vote of 42 ayes and 30 noes, before being placed on the governor's desk on September 26, 2017. The bill was signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown on October 14, 2017, and has been in force since January 1, 2018. To be clear, employers who persist in refusing to hire felons are well within their rights to do so. provided they did not learn about the applicant's felon status until after the application for employment was submitted, and provided the applicant is notified in writing that they will not be extended an official offer of employment. California employers are compelled to follow very specific procedures to request criminal history records on prospective employees now. And if they choose not to hire an applicant who is a felon, they are also compelled to follow stringent guidelines going forward. Admittedly, this might render employers reticent to begin the hiring process at all, and considering these new hurdles, more of them may opt to keep their businesses understaffed. AB 1008 seeks to address the problem of unemployment among Californians who have a criminal record and to usher in new fair hiring practices in the state.